Good evening, good evening. Sorry about that little glitch there between transferring. We've got quite a few things going on today. Everything looks like it's good on my end. Let me just make sure live feed is showing correctly. And we're going to step into something in just a second here. Give me just a second. I want to add a link in here for something I think everybody should probably want to read. If you give me just a second here, and we're going to get into some topics in just a second. Hang on one second. Should have had this ready, but I wanted to do a few other things. So you'll see a link pop up in the description box in just a second. Just says here's the link. Adding it in right now. Hang on one second. I'm sorry, folks. I know this is kind of something I shouldn't have done at the last second. Okay, I'm sorry. There you go. As soon as I click a button here, we'll be ready to roll back to the show. So you should see a link at the top. Ina over at e-commerce Byte, her and her husband are going to court. There's an article. She wrote something on this. It was very touching. I've known Ina and have talked to her for a couple of years now. She reached out to me probably 3 years ago. Right before all this stuff hit the news, I talked to her for the first time. I think everybody should read it if you're selling on eBay, at least for the fact that they have opened up a RICO case against eBay. Read the article, please. Show some love for Ina and her husband, David. Their community standards in my book, I've followed them before I was ever on YouTube. I've read their articles for years. It's some of the most factual and in my opinion, I don't think she's biased. I think she's just reporting news. Always been my opinion. I think highly of her and her husband, very highly. So again, I do write for her, just to preface that out there, but has no bearing on my feelings or thoughts on her in general. I've had the same feelings and thoughts since I've actually been reselling and found her blog posts like, I don't know, 9 years ago or something. It's been up for a very long time, her post, or her blog post site. Excuse me, e-commerce Bytes. Again, there's a link to the article I think everybody should read. It does give some ideas. She talks about some other aspects in there of things that the company doesn't disclose, some of their processes which the company doesn't disclose. So this should be a very interesting case to be following. Please don't bother her, though. I know she's up to here with stuff going on. It's been a very emotional time, but please show her some love, though. Her and her husband, David. Super nice people. Didn't deserve it. And I'm going to end it off on that topic there, that spot. So I just wanted to get out there. She just posted it, yesterday, I think, is when that was posted. To me, it was very touching, and, you know, I can understand husband and wife, anybody who's married, whoever, or has a significant other one, whoever they may be. I would understand, or hopefully you could understand the thoughts and feelings of some of the awful things that were done to them. No, we're not going to dwell on that for the discussion today. For once, eBay's fall update isn't really hitting the majority of people that I know. There is some price increases for September. Ina actually has an article on that. It doesn't say that in the actual update post, though. No mention of it, but it is in there from a prior one, which you can go and check out on Ina. It's, I think, a musical category. None of the ones that are being have price changes affect me at all. So if you're selling regular stuff, I don't think it's going to affect most anybody. There's not much to go into. The video option has been available to us for a while, so I don't know who may not have it as of now. They're obviously added videos. The neatest aspect, at least for me, was the option that they're going to be allowing you to upload 24 images. Now, I don't usually do that many, but there's many times where I wished I could see more images. I know you can send 5 through emails at a time and do a couple of those, but it would be really nice in some cases to have more images for some things, I would say. I rarely would do it, but if for the high value items, you have the option to add now, obviously, a video, and soon, within the next few months, you'll be able to have 24 images instead of the 12. Again, there are some items I've listed that I wished I could have done more. We list lots, usually more valuable lots. They have to be worth at least $50 these days for us to want to list them. But when you want to list a lot of a dozen cards, say, you can't show front and back. You can only show the fronts of 12 cards, or not all of them, or have to gang them up together and crunch down the size. If you want to show a lot of something and still be able to do a zoom in, like say you're doing a lot of 6 cards, or 6 of anything, front and back, that's going to take up 12. So if you had the option to do another one, I could still do a zoom in to draw the attention. And the zoom in almost always gets you more views than just a standard image for your listing on anything. I don't care what anybody says. If you've tried the difference and seen it for yourself, if you do zoom ins like I've talked about forever, you're going to have better results. No, there's no question about it. Every test I've ever done says the exact same thing, and it always happens with higher percentage of sales with a zoom in versus just a far out shot like a lot of people do. But that's the biggest thing that I saw on the updates that concern me. Any price changes, it's not going to affect, much other than the amount you pay. There's nothing you can do about it. So either you're going to be a seller full time and go with the flow because that's what you got to do, or you're going to give up on them. Your choice. I'm not giving up at this time. Again, I said, as long as we're staying above 25% of our overall revenue coming from eBay, I'm not dropping them no matter what. So just FYI, it's a money decision. The Ina's article brings back a lot of sour memories. We were attacked about the same time she was. So who knows? Maybe eBay was involved with attacking us. Maybe not. Maybe the death threats we got had something to do with eBay. I don't know. I can't say anymore. This was all kind of hidden in the background when we were attacked. So I don't know. I even talked to eBay on a video conference back then, a few years ago, that same exact time frame, and talked about being attacked. So, it's very troubling to me. The look, I remember that gentleman's, I'm not going to say his name, but I've talked about him before. And if you're in Patreon, you know who I'm talking about, because I've mentioned the executive at eBay's name, who I won't mention. Anyway, don't trust him or anybody else I've talked to before either. Just FYI. He told me some stuff that was flat out not true. Didn't have an IT degree. Didn't even know what he was talking about with IT, but you have to excuse me. I've been talking all day on trying to help a few people out with some things. My son got a new job at First Solar. He's an engineer out there, and he was at some meeting, and he might get a promotion after being there a very, very short time as a chemist, a full-fledged chemist for the company. So crossing my fingers. Let me go back to make sure you can even hear me, because I'm just rambling here and not paying a lot of attention. That's where I'm having. Let me see where we're at. Hang on just a second here. I'm trying to get back to the feedback here. Looks like I don't see any comments. Looks like everybody can hear me. I'm not going to go into the detail on what happened with Ina. It made national news. It's a federal case. The 7th eBay employee is going to go to federal prison, apparently. 7 employees are going to prison over what they did to her and her husband. It was like stuff out of The Godfather with, dead horse head. It wasn't a real one. It was a bloodied fake one or something. But I know how I would feel. My wife's been threatened through an eBay even once before when I was out of town training for somewhere else. I was working as a regional at the time. So I completely know how terrifying it can be to have, one of your loved ones or you yourself being threatened and stuff. So my heart goes out to Ina and her husband. It always has. So just FYI. I'm going to leave it at that aspect. Again, I don't want to pop back over there. I'm just looking at the feed, or the live feed, and looking at the comments. I've got opened up on the back here. I know you can't see it, is the seller update. And honestly, I don't see much for once. Now, my only concern is that October, November, they may come out with something else, because this year alone, they've done changes in February, March, April, May, September, and October. So we're talking 5 months. There's still 3 left. So the odds are that, yes, something else may still change before the end of the year, would be my personal opinion. A winter update, maybe. It's odd that they're not raising a bunch of prices right off the bat. So I personally think they finally have heard and are worried at this point, so they're trying to do some other things. I've talked about in England, I don't know if they still have it, but they used to have, I think it was £645, and you could have unlimited listings. No charge after, at all. So you could just list everything you wanted for a set price. Again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep clearing my throat, but we've had a lot going on here on this end. I need to stop talking too much some days. So anyway, with the update, again, I don't see much to worry about at all for once. Again, I still think, cross my fingers, I still think something's going to possibly change again, winter update or a price change. The next one, since they didn't have a lot of price changes, I would almost guarantee you they're going to do a price change. Now, I can't believe they didn't do some major ones already, and I say that because their numbers weren't looking good. If they do a price change on fees, even if it's like 0.15 or 0.25 of a percentage point, that's enough to be millions to help sway their numbers for financial for the year. So next year, first quarter numbers might still look good if they do something like that. So that's what I expected them to do, and I still kind of expect them to do that. I try to pay as little attention to what eBay does, truthfully, these days. I can't change it. Nothing I can do about it. We've got our own stuff going on here. Most of what they say isn't... I don't buy most of it. It's all about money, and every time there's an issue, it's always, hey, you need to do this, do promote it, or you need to do item specifics. Darn, I'm so sorry. Now, somebody in my Patreon group sent me a video, I think, from another eBay site. Not eBay US, but it's talking about Cassini and searching, how it searches. And I'm going to go into that, I think, a little bit here and discuss it, not tonight, but in another video after I dig into some data and some information. I was just shown that today. I thank that Patreon. I don't want to call it names because I didn't ask permission to, but anyway, there are some changes and there are some announcements. The video that I saw only had 100 and some odd views, so no one knows about it. eBay's not promoting it. It was shared on some random Facebook thing or something, apparently. And I've asked around. No one else has seen it that I know of, and I'm talking about big sellers, so I'm going to get some feedback on it before I discuss it. Again, I thank you. You're the patron. I don't want to say a name, but anyway. For those in my YouTube membership here, I just posted another video up there. It goes into depth into a topic I've asked or been asked questions on many times. There's scrapbook and things like that, so if you want to check that video out, it is up as of now. It was up just before the live show. Patreon, same thing. I've got a video up on Patreon covering the scrapbooks. There's 5 or 6 of you who asked questions specifically on that and things in it. We're going to go over that. And then the second part's going to be a deep dive into some of the items from that book, as well as items, again, in that same genre and niches. And it's a deep dive. Most of the videos on memberships are like 3 or 4 times as long as most of my videos here on YouTube. It's the only paid things I do, so just FYI, I'm not out there with courses or anything else like that. It just compensates me for my time is about all it does, and it doesn't even do that sometimes. So anyway, boy, I'm kind of hoarse today. Sorry. So there's videos up there. If you're in Patreon too, there's one single post I did not get to before the show, and I'll get to it after. I have the response. I already know the answer. It's an Odyssey that somebody posted up there, and I will have an answer right after the show. Everything else I've responded to. There's some community tab posts that you had some questions, so please check those out. I asked some return questions on size and some posters. There's some, looks like they're supposed to be recruitment posters from the war, but anyway, I've got some questions on those there too, so just FYI on that. I think that's it on that aspect of it. I have found some new results on a few other things, and I have been talking to several other in-depth conversations. I've had a long ongoing conversation with 5 or 6 of my patrons. I mean, very in-depth. It's like a 1,000-word conversation between each of us each time, and it's a lot of going back and forth and stuff like that. And all those 5 people, as well as my data, and these are bigger sellers, so there's better data that comes from it, so I can make some conclusions based on factual evidence, and not just me saying, hey, I see something. These are repeatable, testable. Anybody who's done the test will see the same results to some extent, exactly as we do, and I hear it every time. I just literally... I have an article on e-commerce Bytes talking about end and sell similar to, and they all had phenomenal results. One person was selling, I didn't come up with this, so I'm just trying to share it. But one person was selling 1 or 2 items if they're lucky a day. They did end and sell similar, and for 5 or 6 days straight, they've been selling 6, 8 items every single day, as opposed to those 1 or 2. So I honestly, that's the only thing that I can tell you that works with vintage and stuff. it does show and push your items up. And some of the folks who have been telling me this have 400, 500, 1,000, 2,000 listings, 3,000 listings, all the way up into the 10, 20, 30,000 range. And I know I know a couple of people nowadays that have like 100,000 listings on eBay, and they do it. They pay somebody to do it, so it's something that works. I just wish they had the option to do 500 or 1,000 at a time. It's just a matter of tweaking a couple buttons on eBay's, and there shouldn't be any technical issues with it, to set it up that way. They just haven't done it for whatever reason. I don't think they want us doing it, truthfully, because they want to, everything it always comes back to, you got to promote it, and I haven't promoted in years. And I'm not going back. I'd rather just make a little less money if I'm forced to promote, in all honesty, truthfully. I'm not greedy. I don't need every dime in the world. I'm happy with the way things are going right now. I couldn't be happier, honestly, with everything. Sales are okay and all that. We're still like third quarter numbers basically right now, but I probably have missed call outs on a lot of folks. Topics here today, again, there's not much on the update. Some folks may have item specifics. That's everyone. There's nothing you can do other than putting in the required ones before the deadline. Otherwise, they're going to ghost your listings. Most of those were already due, I think, any of the ones that I saw, any comments on or anything else like that. If you have any changes in your categories or anything else like that, just fix them. The recommended item specifics, as I've said before, I would recommend putting them in. I would recommend using as many as you can. I know it's time consuming, but from what I hear and from what I've personally seen, not conjecture, multiple tests and everything, if you put them in, you get better results. I don't know how else to tell it to you like that. I know it's a waste of time with a lot of them. I try to use the ones that make sense. I try to use ones that may tie to the niche, but not always my item, just to draw them in. It does seem to work when you put them in. I can compare, we didn't fill some in, so I had like 6,000 and stuff that weren't filled in, and we've got ones to compare them to. I can easily compare 6,000 listings that do not have recommended versus 6,000 that do in the very same category. So they're like-to-like items, like-to-like prices, like-to-like everything, and sales are different between the two. The sales that we have better sales on are the ones that have the recommended filled in. I don't care what eBay says. Somebody made a comment on something that, well, what does eBay say about that? I don't care what eBay says about something. Doesn't matter. What matters is what works for you. If it works for you, that's what matters. eBay is looking out for eBay's interest. Everybody forgets that. Everybody forgets that eBay is looking out for eBay. They're not looking out for you or me. And I know they say they are, but they wouldn't be doing the things they're doing if they honestly were looking out for us. That's any company. It's Amazon, it's Walmart. So if you sell on Walmart, you've got the same issues. You sell on Amazon, same issues. They're looking out for Amazon. Second people they look out for are the buyers. Third people maybe would be stakeholders and buyers, and then we're probably fourth or fifth down that list. That's any site. And as I was saying earlier, I don't honestly pay much attention to eBay other than something that I'm required to do these days. It's not worth my time. It's not worth the effort. They're going to change and they're going to do what they want to do. At the end, if it doesn't go well, we'll say bye-bye to the current CEO. Somebody else will come in. I'll still be there. I've been through many CEOs, a lot of CEOs I've been through, that I'm still here. Everything's still fine. I'm still on a stable base. They'll figure out that that's not working what they're doing. The terrible idea to make desktop users feel like they're on their phone. Most people use a desktop because they don't want the phone, so it makes no sense to basically penalize the majority of users on eBay and force them to pretend they're using a mobile app versus keeping the mobile app and not changing anything. So that's my take. I do use the mobile app when I'm out to check prices, and sometimes for Amazon to add inventory if it's like an FBA item and I just picked up some more or something, or a merchant fulfilled item or something, but I'm not a big phone person, so I personally use laptops, PCs for everything. I run volume, so using a phone would be a joke for me. There's no way I could do it. I can't end and sell somewhere 500 items or 200 at a time. I can't edit prices on 500 items at a time from my phone, at least not that I'm aware of. Unless I open up the web browser, then open up the main platform, and if I'm going to do all that, I might as well just do it on a laptop or PC or whatever. We got a bunch of laptops, and I'm just a laptop person. Always have been, always will. I'm not a big cell phone. I don't talk in the car ever on a cell phone while I'm moving. Just me. It's a pet peeve of mine. But Anyway, we'll call out a few names as we run through here. Pop's Block Shop. Don's hair near shoulder length. I had it down to my waist when I was a teenager, and not a few years ago. I think when I first started on YouTube, I cut it a little bit, but I used to have it down to my waist. I love long hair, truthfully. Always have. I don't have any problem with it. I grew up that way, and it's me. I don't care. I like leather coats and long hair. You know, that's just it. But I doubt I'll ever run it long again. It's just easier to take care of and all that kind of stuff. I don't really care anymore. I don't know. I'm beyond worrying about stuff like that. Purple Rain, good evening, good evening. Welcome, welcome. Crystal Star, welcome. The Reseller Boomer, welcome, welcome as well. Kathy Katie, evening. Linda Schmidt, good evening. Orlando. NCS 1701 used to be a great shop, as well as Intergalactic Comics and Cards, I think was the other one. I used to live in those. And then in Orlando on Highway 50, darn it. There used to be a place called the Atomic Pharaoh. It was a comic shop. And I met a lot of people and got autographs. It was a really nice place back in the day. We used to know the owners and stuff back in those days. It was a younger kid and his girlfriend, I think, parents bought it for him or something. But anyway. Yeah, hopefully, I didn't see a single minute of the hurricane news, in all honesty. I've just been so busy. We've got friends and relatives. One of our friends is she does the emergency, she's a RN, I think, and she does all the emergency teams when a hurricane and stuff hits. She's there, living in tents and stuff, and helps out a lot. So we always worry about our friends down there, too. We've got lots of friends that still work at Disney down there. I remember the one hurricane that went over Orlando when I was working at Disney and stuff back in those days. I still remember that day. Lightning struck the Sony Tower right there before Star Tours when I was there, and I was walking by it and my hair stood up. It was literally standing on ends like you see in the movies. Yeah, it was so close to the building when it struck. The whole air, you could smell that electrical. It was really weird. My hair on my arms all stood up and stuff. That's the closest I've ever been to a lightning bolt. It's really weird. But anyway. Linda, let's see who I did. Disgruntled Octopus. Good evening, good evening. I've always liked that name. For those in membership as well, too, I already did a new call-out for the end of all the shows. So that's got the new patrons and all new everything, the membership. I totally forgot. It should have been up in the videos that went out today, but I personally forgot today. I don't have anybody working today at all because we had some stuff going on. I'm still trying to work on getting Benny back on the show, too. Benny from Tenacious Toys. Look up Tenacious Toys. He's a good guy, knows his stuff. He goes to Comic-Con and the New York Toy Fair and the whole works. I want to have him on, I think he gave me some dates for October. After the 10th, I think I'm going to try and get him on the show. I don't know if it'll be a live one or not, but if I don't do it live, I'll do a premiere so you can ask questions, at least of me, and we can go over. We'll be talking about hot toys for Christmas. He's the toy guy. He has his own toy site and has for years. He's got contracts and dealings with most of the companies, and so he sells name brand everything, just FYI. So if you want to check out toys-wise, Benny's a real good guy. So again, Tenacious Toys, I'll be bringing him back on, I hope, too. He's sold some stuff for me. Some of my stuff is sold through his site as well, too, just FYI. In fact, I'm going to hit him back tomorrow. I don't think I'll have time tonight. I still have one more post, as I said. Kathy, Katie, prayers for all who have been and those who will be in its path. Yes, very good. Thank you very, very, very nicely there to all those who are in the path of it. I've been through a couple. During Katrina, we lost a house, and we watched it rip off the roof of our garage, and it ruined everything outside, and it was like that for a long time. My in-laws they still live on Mississippi coast, and it washed out the what's the name of the bridge? I can't think of the name of the bridge between Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, and what's the next city over? Past Christian, if you know where I'm talking about. The Bay Bridge. I'm sorry, it's the Bay Bridge. That's the bridge that was washed out. Twisted. Good evening from wild and wonderful West Virginia. I have been in West Virginia. West Virginia has some very expensive collectibles. For those in Patreon, you already know what I'm talking about. West Virginia has one of the highest increases in value for a few collectible items. It's right up there with California. There's a couple things that I've made hundreds of dollars just because it's from something in West Virginia. So it's something I always look for. Again, Patreon, I've talked about it many times. The prices went up even since then, just like Tahoe and stuff. BJD, well, thank you very kindly for the kind words. Cindy Donato, hopefully I said that right. Welcome, Cindy. Rochelle Desimone, I'm sure I messed that one up. Glad for hearing the new eBay news from you. Yeah, again, back for a minute here on the eBay update. I don't see any concerns this time. I don't see anything that's going to affect me. They've added paperwork. They've added the paperwork where you can get Seller Pro. I think, what is it? Seller Pro listings, improved messaging. The messaging I could care less about. I haven't even switched over to the new one, even though I've had it available. I know I'm going to be forced on it. I don't care about that. The video's already been added in. I haven't put a video up on eBay yet, personally. The option's there. The most important video, I personally would say, if you're going to put a video, I think everybody should put a video for your storefront page. Make up something nice and attractive and catchy. You only have to display it there. That's all you have. You don't have to have a YouTube. You don't have to have any of that stuff. But I would honestly recommend putting something together. If you're a family business, I would show the family. If you're comfortable with that. You know, I know minor kids and things like that. So just be comfortable with it. You know, heart-touching and heartwarming, you know, conversations in there will draw people to you. Honesty and sincerity in whatever you do in that aspect is like probably one of the most important things, and part of what we're going to talk about today, in all honesty. But that's a topic because, geez, there's been so many times, and even with like other YouTubers and stuff, that there's people mislead too many people just for the fact of the almighty dollar, for commissions, for you know, like courses, for signing up for some service so that people can get an affiliate link commission off of it and stuff. I don't do that for anything I don't use, and I've only done one in my entire like a paid thing. That was for HIP, and that was it. And I use HIP. I still use HIP. One of my Patreons did $1,000 on HIP this past month, and they still have a couple days left. That's more than I've done on HIP in a single month, but we've sold thousands and thousands of dollars on HIP. No lie, I swear that's the case. And, you know, I know quite a few people who have sold a lot of money on HIP. You have to have volume and direct links to eBay, so there's not much to it. So anyway, that's the gist on that. I'm trying to see if anything else. We've already discussed the new eBay. You guys can probably hear Jack upstairs barking. We've already discussed the new eBay International Shipping Service last week. Ina actually has an article on that as well. Messaging. You've got the French market issue. Now, France is instigating something similar. It's already passed, and England has one coming down the line too, similar to the German aspect. Now, I just blocked Germany. France, I'm hesitant to block yet because from what I see, it probably doesn't affect the vintage items. I actually sent an email in French. I know somebody who speaks French and they translated it for me to somebody at the board for, because it says printed paper in one of the aspects on the French ruling. You'd have to register and do this and do that. And for me, it's not worth it. Since the VAT was enforced the way it is now, my international sales have drastically just slumped off in most countries other than England, China, Japan, and Canada. Those are the four I usually sell to routinely all the time. Enough at least to keep me still as a top-rated plus status in all those regional aspects on eBay. They rate you by each section. So if you sell in like another market, those are rated differently than the U.S. market one. If you didn't know that, I know a lot of people may not be aware of that, but that's how it works. So I'm gonna keep the aspect of France. I want to keep it right now. So until I know for sure. You still got time. It's not mandatory until a certain date. But I would look at that if you sell a lot overseas. I know most people that I talk to, everything's pretty much dived to about zero since the VAT and the new shipping policies over to the United Kingdom and Europe and Germany and all. So for most people, the answer would just be to turn off shipping to those countries. And it does not matter if you do global or any of those. If you have an open option to ship overseas and you haven't registered with France or, say, Germany, which was already required, you're SOL. You're violating the rules if you send something out to them. So I would just check on that. That, again, is not really anything to do with eBay whatsoever. eBay's just telling you ahead of time, hey, you better check it out, which is good that they're actually telling you ahead of time. They're pretty good on that kind of stuff because that could affect them. There might be some liabilities and things like that. Now, eBay has on the part of the update, they're talking about building repeat business and stuff. I've already done everything that eBay has said ever before on any of this. Everything that they're suggesting is stuff they've been talking about for a while, so I don't see anything new. The coupon option isn't for me. I've tried it many, many times. I've tried sending out to groups and the whole works. So it just doesn't give me the results that the coupon or that the sales and markdown does. People always know sales and markdown. Coupons, some people think there's a gimmick or you got to do something. So that's why I personally feel that the coupons aren't used anywhere near as much for us anyway than the sales and markdown. Everything that I see, like the newsletter that they're talking about in the update, they're talking about a newsletter that you can set one up and all this stuff. I've had one for years. It's always been an option for, I guess, anchor stores or higher, I guess. I've had it for years. There's no real change on there that I can see. Again, there's not much difference in here. You should read it over. It shouldn't be anything scary. The brand and visibility, I know they've changed the stuff in the stores. I don't think that's helping at all. I think the way eBay's set up and how searches work, there is no variance. It's just like Amazon these days. Amazon has actually made it harder to see who you're buying from. It's very hard sometimes, and sometimes it's misleading the way it clicks you off to other pages and stuff. And sometimes it says, hey, this is a name brand. I click and I find out that it's not. So, or that the listing has been changed on Amazon. So I'm worried eBay might go that route. And I know they're talking about in here the update, category shares and all this stuff. I go over everything in the store. I don't like the setup. I think the setup, it hurts a seller because it looks like everybody has less items. People don't pay attention, and from your phone, seeing the click the spot where see all items isn't as accessible as you would think because it's not in the same spot. It's set up differently. So I think the whole setup of the way they have the landing page for your store isn't very helpful. I think that's a turnoff as a buyer because I've got to click a bunch of things, and if you're on the phone, which again is what they're trying to push everything, it's going to hurt that aspect. So I'm not paying any attention. I do everything again I can. I don't listen to what eBay's saying. If there's an option though that's new, I do try it. But other than that, if my tests don't confirm anything, I could care less what eBay says. They're going to always tell you to promote it. That's always been the option. Promote it. Put the item specifics in. I would recommend item specifics, but I don't. Promote it isn't the be all, of everything. I'm aggravated that they're now offering an option that you can pay a one-time fee for eBay to show your items to someone else when they're checking out or when they're on their page about to buy something. So that means they're doing that to us too. So I look on a page, my page, say from, a logged out account. So, I've got all my browser data gone. It's in incognito mode and the whole works. It's not, nothing. So it's all fresh cleaned out. And I go in there, and if I'm going to check out on my own items, they're advertising other people's stuff in my listing, which is aggravating because, again, why would you do it once they're in someone's listing? Do it outside the listing. I think that's inappropriate in my book. Nothing, again, we can do about it. I'm just going to go on, but nothing in this whole update I see that's truly helpful other than the photos and a few little piddly things. The user agreement always changes, so I usually just read over the changes. There's nothing you can do about it. Any warnings you get, any emails you get, fine. Just fix it, do whatever. Now, one other thing that I've gotten already was a notice from eBay, and I talked about this last week, that said I needed to supply a copy of my driver's license or a government-issued ID front and back to get my payments going forward from October 1st on. I've already done that. I did that immediately when it came in. A couple other people have reached out to me and are all worried about it. I'm assuming they're hitting up the sellers that are making more money first. That makes the most sense. Hit up the ones that the most money is transferring through eBay. So most of the people, in fact, everybody I've talked to who's been hit up has been a 5-digit, well, I'd be 6-digit seller in the 100,000 range on eBay. So that's, or higher. So I'm assuming they're hitting up everybody. So all the ones who are doing $1 million or whatever, they've probably already had to send that in. So if you're going to continue to sell on eBay, you're going to have to supply that. You supply it to Amazon if you sell on Amazon. Same thing with Whatnot and a few other sites I'm on. So it's already basically mandatory on most of the sites that I'm on anyway. I don't care if eBay, knows who I am or what the case may be. That's fine, whatever. Whatever the case may be. It's just the way the business is. So again, they've got my information. Everybody else's sites does the same thing. If you don't want to hand that out to them, you're not going to be able to get your payments anymore. That's what the notice said. I don't see any sense in, everybody should be able to read it themselves and decide on what they want to do. It's not going to stop me from selling. Again, I'm pretty open. I'm in the public realm, so there's not much, people know who I am anyway, so we're not sitting here trying to hide something or be deceptive or anything anyway. They just, I'm sure, want to make sure, just like any other site, make sure everybody's on the up and up. That protects them from, government issues and claims and stuff like that. And again, in my opinion, that would be the assumption. So anyway, let's pop back over here and see what we got going back over here. Where are we at? Ray Rojaz, how you doing? Good evening. Matt Jake, welcome. Teddy Baker, welcome. Are you bizarre? Like and share. Well, thank you. Overly complicated word. I'm here in Orlando, and yes, we got lucky. Very good. Vicky V, welcome. Eric Tiki, welcome. Blue Skies, welcome. Crystal Star, yeah, this cyberbullying case. Type in cyberbullying federal and eBay, and you'll instantly see the whole thing. The head of global security for all of eBay is in federal prison, I think, over this. So if he's not, he's going the way it sounds. Jedi Order 7, hey Don, can you talk about what World War II items are allowed on eBay and in what categories having a little trouble? There's a large chunk, anything that says like a manual or anything, if it says top secret, I don't care if it's 70 years old, you can't list it. Any manuals, usually, or handbooks are banned. I know people get away with selling them, but technically they're listed in there. Hate things, someone suffering, a photo of someone suffering or dead, don't ever list on eBay anymore. Keep away from all that stuff. Like Hitler things. People say, well, you can't list anything from Hitler. I'm not condoning, I'm not stating any, I'm a very nice, friendly person. I don't condone any violence at all. That's just not me. You can sell Hitler stamps, you can sell Hitler coins, and you can sell philatelic items. Anything related to postage and stuff is legally fine to sell and ship and all that stuff. Even, I think, to Germany, which bans any other Nazi items coming out of the country or going into the country. Germany has the strictest import-export on those sorts of items, very obviously why, but I would just be careful with those. Government-issued padlocks, railroad padlocks of any kind, of any date, can't be technically listed on eBay. No keys for those. Switchbox keys or anything else like that. Military-marked ones can't be listed. Any military guns or rifle parts that have the receiver, the part that the bullet, shell, whatever goes into, cannot be part of whatever you're selling. I've sold TIA 88 barrels and stuff quite a few times. I've sold the stocks. I've sold the sights, trigger guards, the trigger, but not most of the rifles that we've broken apart to sell. I discard the receiver. I don't want any issues. I just discard the receiver and part everything else out, unless it's like a Japanese 7.7 that's not deflowered. Maybe I'm over someone's head who doesn't know military, but those items I'm careful with too. Some of the combat knives can't be listed. If some of the knuckled ones, I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm sure if you're in the military, you know what I'm talking about. The manuals are like the biggest thing I hear everybody who gets in trouble. It's usually a manual. They're selling manuals on it or things like that, like TM865, some of those series of manuals, technical manuals, or any ones about weaponry. I've got like M80, not M80, an M60 manual here. I've got nuclear manuals here and stuff like that. It's not illegal to technically own them because of the age and stuff like that, but they're not allowed to be sold because there's a lot that are banned. So eBay doesn't know how to tell the difference. I don't blame them. Just ban them all, and it covers them. Just like I banned certain items going to certain countries, I just ended up banning the whole country so I wouldn't have any issues going forward. So I don't blame eBay for that technically, because I've seen people get in trouble outside of eBay for selling those as well. So manuals are like the #1 thing to be careful with. Most everything else, other than photos of someone getting hurt, injured, or anything else like that, or pain, or anything else like that, is pretty much mostly fair game. I don't list anything with the swastika on it unless it's a coin or a postage stamp. And I try not to even list those truthfully these days. Would never want somebody to connect me with any hate group or anything else like that, because that's just not me. I would never list any German patches or buckles that have any emblems. Now, World War I got uns with the helmet or something on it, or something like that. Those are fine to list, like the Prussian era German items and stuff. But, anyway. Hopefully that helps a little bit there. Purple Rain, is it true eBay is going to make sellers wait for payment until product is delivered for international orders? Somebody said in one of the eBay groups this is going to be rolled out over months. I've heard some talk. I know they're changing it. I did read over it, but I was reading over it really quick. I know there are some changes. What's going to happen is eBay is going to have a setup process for returns on that. So if something happens, it's going to automatically be fixed just like it's a U.S. return. So if you get a return open, they'll automatically accept certain ones and all that kind of stuff too. Now you can still, there is nothing that says, I know for sure that says you can't do buyer pays return shipping international. So we have business policies set up. So in the business policies, all of my business policies have U.S. shipping free returns for 30 days. All of them. On the same setup, all the internationals are buyer pays return shipping. Obviously, an item not as described is a different story. I don't really worry about that much because I almost never have one of those. And if I do and it's my fault, fine. I'll take it back and eat the cost. All my fault. I'll refund them completely. They'll get all their money back. I'll offer them a coupon for, free shipping on the next item they purchase. Even at international, even if it's $15 or $20. I don't care. It's not worth the hassle for $15, $20. If I mess up, I usually, even if it's something simple or stupid, I usually just give them the money back and make sure the item's correct at the end of the day. That's about it. I could see that being a possibility depending on the service that you are using. Let's say you're using eBay's new international, which is going to replace the global shipping program. I do believe there is some language in there that leads me to think that is specifically what you're talking about there, Purple Rain. I will have a video on that when I start to switch over to that one. That option is made available to me. We will cover it, I promise you, because I do use international shipping. And as I said, I'm not going to block out any country until I know for sure whether I'm not or am allowed to do it. I knew Germany was a done deal. I'm not going to mess with Germany because I would have had to have registered my packing material and all that crap. And it just wouldn't be worth it for the hassle, the headache, worry, and everything else. If I mess up or I mix up something by accident, then it's on me and, it's my fault and I'll have to take the consequences. I just don't want to deal with that. I like to limit risk every bit I can. So that's my personal opinion. If you're not aware, you're not paying attention, you should probably just block off Germany as a location to ship from because of the new requirements for recycling and shipping materials and things like that. One of the programs I did see a comment on too on international shipping and some platforms or some options in one of the countries, you may be required to pay to get the old, like let's say they're buying a replacement or an upgrade for something. You may be required to take the old item back, pay to have it shipped back to you. I've seen that option, and I've seen it on a couple of platforms, smaller ones, but I have seen it. They're mostly international ones too. So that may be an option. Again, I'm not saying eBay's definitely doing that, but I have seen some talk about some of these sorts of things going on because other sites are doing it. And when one site figures out they can make money or it saves them money, everybody else hops on the bandwagon. like the 5-star crap. That started off like 20 some odd years ago, more than that, almost 30 years ago. Some guy working on a PhD, his PhD did his dissertation on, building up customer service, and somebody just came up with this idea on 5 stars, and then everybody used it. They sold it to corporate America as like a course or a program on how to build up your customer service, and now it's everywhere. I remember when that crap came out, and I remember how bad it was back then. And anyway, I understand the grading and all, but it's gone to such an extreme in some industries. And I'm not talking specifically about eBay's feedback 5-star. They judge employees on 5-star. Just a bunch of things like that. That's the international now standard for customer service, is the 5-star program. And again, that's somebody just made it up and then sold it. Now everybody uses it. That way the company themselves don't have to come up with the program. They don't spend the money. They just buy a pre-done setup. And that's literally where this all came from. You can go back and look it up yourself. That's the story on that. I remember when that came out, unfortunately. I was a manager back in those days still. Purple Rain, though, I will cover that, I promise you. I try to cover what's important. I literally thought I'd be able to run the whole show on just eBay's update, but there's not much there, which is really surprising. It might mean that they're having some issues and their IT staff is more so working on trying to fix and get the next one up versus getting new stuff going on. I think they're a little scared on what's going on because of the numbers. Amazon's down again, if you didn't notice. FedEx is down, and which is usually the judge, but I take that more as Amazon delivers more packages than FedEx now. So I think that's why you'll see it. So a lot of the numbers out there, if you follow online reselling in general, like I do, you might look at some of the like shipping specific journals and things, which is what I do. And always before Amazon started doing the last 2 years, you would always look at the numbers, how well UPS, USPS, what's FedEx, all those companies, how well were they doing? Were their box shipments up? Because everything had to go through those 3 sources. So that was the international standard for judging how sales were going, at least by volume of sales. You can't do that anymore because Amazon now controls the amounts of packages that are going out for a majority of their things. I can tell you, though, that their numbers they originally declared are having them 25% higher in amounts of packages shipped than FedEx. And that's an accomplishment in a short period of time. And I know they're suffering and closing stuff down now. Amazon, that is. They expanded too quickly and they're losing money. Anyway, I'm not losing money, but losing the sales numbers. They're down 7 or 8%. But yeah, I know I'm rambling. Justin Bershaw, I wait forever for my payouts now. It sucks. You can get them done in a day. I mean, you can do the daily payouts. I mean, we do payouts. We bounce back and forth. We're down, I think, to 1 day now, only because of cash back on anything we can get cash back on, like on labels and stuff. I showed you how to get cash back on all of your shipping labels. So if you've got a charge card that gives you 3 to 4% or even 5%, somebody told me they get, you can get cash back on that. So that's lowering your eBay shipping labels by 5 cents on the dollar every single one you do. So that's a pretty good chunk of change. That's lowering your fees and all that kind of stuff too. So if you're not doing cash back on there, I would honestly recommend doing it. I got a video showing you how to set it all up. So FYI. Antiquarian Bookman, good evening, good evening. I don't want to get up. I was going to show, I've got some more. I love vintage books, and I've been picking up leaves from books from like the 1500s. I've got some from 1527 is the oldest one I got the other day. I'm looking for some from the 15th century, 1400s. That's what I really would love to have. But I'm going to be giving a couple away for Halloween, just FYI. I'm doing a Halloween show for sure this year. We're going to go all out, I think, for Halloween again. It's been a little while since I've done one. I don't think I did one last year, if I remember. Just like, yeah, Kelly's telling you right there, just do daily. It's only a 2-day wait after an item is paid. Jeff Loftus. Hey, Jeff, how you doing? Good evening, good evening. Hopefully you're doing well, Jeff. Marty, Jiminy Flippin', another YouTuber in-house. So if you get a chance, check out Marty. Marty's a real good guy. Mr. Beetle, we'll call him. Hey, Joe. Joseph Mart, how are you doing? Good evening as well. Hopefully you're doing well. Stephanie Montgomery, hello, hello. Hang on, my feed just moved all over the place. Let me get back to where I was, unless I can't get to it anymore. Hang on just a second. I'm trying to get back to where we were. Okay, there we go. Stephanie Montgomery. People are nuts. Yes, blue skies. Stephen PB. Happy Thursday back out at ya. Edward Kaminer. New Georgia. Welcome, welcome. Tamara Weaver. Could you just give a thumbnail of Ina's situation? I'd read it if you didn't catch what I said a little while ago. I've got a video or two just covering it. I try to stay away from getting too much involved into it just because I know Ina. We've talked quite a bit in the past, and just today, honestly, I sent her something. So I would not want to go into it too much, but needless to say, it's corporate greed, and the people at eBay, the 7 people, are just terrible people. I think the CEO personally should go to jail too, in my opinion. I think he was the one who instigated it from everything I've personally read. Again, my opinion, the last CEO. I'm not going to mention his name because I despise that person anyway. Just read the article, as I said. It should be down there. I'm not going to reload the page. Yeah, it's on there. You just look right below the video itself, and in the description box, I've got a link to it. It's an easy read. Ina's a very nice person, and I truthfully believe that she's non-biased and only looking out for the well-being of resellers in general. That's my honest opinion, and it always has been for the last 9 or so years I've read her stuff. I was honestly, honored that she reached out to me to write for her and all that stuff, and I'm always grateful that she gave me that opportunity, so not just because of that, but I've always admired the page, just truthfully. I've talked about it since day one on here, and I've told other people for years to check her out. Kevin Davies, again, read the article. It's just type in again, eBay federal cyber stalking on Chrome, and you're going to read it. It's a huge story. It was national news a year or two ago. And that, my opinion, is why the last CEO was forced to step down, because he was involved in this, in my opinion. I think he's working at Ford or some junk right now, but Etsy is a counterfeit marketplace. I've bought from Etsy, and I have an Etsy account, and we sell in the whole works, so I don't have a bad opinion of Etsy, truthfully. I hear the comments, but I hear just as many, if not more, on eBay every day of the week. And I know eBay with the authentication program, and they're going to get money. You're going to end up paying more anybody who has higher value items, because you're going to be forced to authenticate so many items going forward. Yeah, sure, it fixes it so the buyer hopefully feels it's good, but I've heard so many cases now where they authenticated something that wasn't good, or said something was fake when the item was clearly not fake. So I don't know. It's discretionary by who's actually looking at the item and how good their knowledge is. One person could say fake and everybody else could say real, and it could still be fake, even though everybody but one person said it was real. So I'm always cautious on that. Biff Bofo, how you doing, Biff? They screwed it up so badly last October. I can't imagine it being so bad this year. I think maybe they just couldn't get it together personally. I think they're doing so much stuff in the background and not knowing what they're doing, and their numbers are looking terrible. Maybe they cut back on spending labor and time on stuff, because labor is almost always one of the biggest expenses for a company like that. It's labor. That's most of their expenses. That's the majority. Every place I've worked, labor was one of the biggest controllable expenses, I should say. You can't control the rent of the building. That's not a controllable. Electricity is controllable and all that stuff. If you've worked for corporate America, that's a controllable expense. As a regional manager, I had to control 30-some-odd stores worth of everything about the stores. The rent, the lease or mortgage, whatever we were doing, I had to figure that into my numbers. Let's see, Jedi Order 7, when you end a listing and sell similar, do you include the listings with watchers that you've already responded to? I usually send them all out. I usually sort my listings by oldest first before I do anything. So I'll instantly sort them oldest first, because those are the ones I'm going to redo. I usually check on to see if I've got the ability to send offers to watchers. If they're, let's say I'm going to do 8,000 listings end and sell similar in a day, which is a little low for what we've been doing these days. But before I do it, I check. Is that listing far enough back in there, the ones that are offers to watchers I'm going to send out, where it's not going to be affected by me ending it? Or, by me sending an offer to watcher. If you send an offer to watcher and then end it and sell similar, that offer to watcher basically shows up as you declined it to the buyer afterwards, or it's been retracted or something, because it's gone. The listing doesn't exist anymore when you do that. It doesn't carry over. Now, like a regular watcher, let's say I've got 10 watchers in an item, but I cannot send an offer to those. I don't have the option to send an offer to any of those watchers, those 10 watchers. I just end it and sell similar anyway. I don't care at all. I swear to you, I don't care at all about watchers on an item unless I can send an offer to them. It's the only ones that I care about. I never look at views anymore at all. I could care less how many views I got, because I don't trust that eBay's numbers are correct. I've seen personally too many fluctuations. The numbers don't sync when eBay's showing you the data from off-platform versus platform, and on and on and on and on and on and on. So there's all types of other aspects of it that I wonder about. So I don't worry about my views anymore at all. And a view doesn't mean it's ever going to sell. Doesn't mean, there's so many window shoppers. A watcher never means it's going to sell. For me too, people watch me because I'm on here. So I don't pay attention to those for that reason, as well as the fact that it means nothing to me. The only watchers that I ever worry about are the ones I can send an offer to a watcher. It's the only ones I'm going to make money off of. Nothing else is even remotely guaranteed. Now, obviously, I'm not guaranteed to sell something as an offer to a watcher. I mean, there's no guarantee, but I have a 25-30% sell rate on offers to watchers. So if I send out 100 of them, I could sell as high as 30 of those that I sent those offers to watchers out on, and that's a decent amount. That's not counting all the other stuff I do, and we send out offers to watchers all day long. All day, because if you don't send them out, somebody else, here's how offers to watchers work. Obviously, if you look at something, you give the option, but let's say a potential buyer looks at 5 items from you and 5 items from 5 other resellers. So let's say one of the people realizes it immediately and sends him an offer for all those items. They may only allow that person to get 2 offers from a certain amount of sellers in a certain time frame. So if you don't send them out before the other 5 people that they have items that they're watching do, you may not have the ability to send them out to that person at all. So like, let's say you're sending them out and it says, it could go to so many people, and then it says offer sent to only one of those 5. Well, you may have waited too long and somebody else was able to send those people an offer before you did. That's how that works. eBay's got a breakdown somewhere, but we've played around with it, and I've asked somebody at eBay before. They don't want to flood the potential buyer with a whole bunch of offers from all kinds of people, so it's limited in how many they can get, so they're not annoyed. I'd be annoyed if I got them all the time. I don't buy much on eBay these days, in all honesty. Some collectibles for the wife and stuff, but other than that, like Weebles. But that's how it works. So you got to understand how it's working to know that. Again, views and basic watchers mean nothing. I always just relist them. If it's a good enough item to garner those 10 watchers, I'm going to get them back if they're that prone on those items. And if I don't get them back, I couldn't send them an offer anyway, so what does it matter? I don't see it hurting me. And you can always sort those out. Instead of sorting it by newest to oldest, you can just flip some and by how many watchers you have if you really want to. The ones that 0 watchers, do those all first and then sort them that way. So. And you can remove specific items and all that stuff. There's a million ways to do something on eBay these days. It may not be the easiest or the most fun, but some of it's not so bad. Well, thank you again, Auction Monkey, for the $10 super chat. Greatly appreciated. Only if eBay lets them know you ship to that state. 6 messages to asking if we did ship to their state. I've had in the past, eBay has had issues where my personal listings, eBay would tell them when I sent an offer to them that I'm not shipping to their location. I think that's what you're having going on still. I would contact eBay immediately because that's a known glitch from last year even. I have videos talking about that exact thing from last year. So it's been a glitch that's happened over and over again. And I know it was happening. I had 100% proof. because I had several people watch specific items. I've got videos of them looking at my items and getting the notice after that, and the notice telling them that I don't ship to them. So again, you've got to be a little cautious on that. That would be my first bet, to call eBay immediately, tell them it's been a known glitch in the past, and you want to make sure that you're on a list because it's telling them that. There's some toggle switch or something, or radio button in behind the scenes in the IT department apparently that does that. You know, and the other thing I would say is, before you do anything else, is to go in and check if you've got business policies, check your business policies. eBay in a couple occasions have changed something, or I don't remember the whole story, but something wasn't right, and I ended up switching it in there, and it fixed a whole bunch of issues. That's one reason I always recommend business policies, because with business policies, I can change like all my payment setup all at once for 30,000 listings in like 10 seconds. And I can throw on 50 different shipping policies if I want. It's just like Amazon. You can set up as many as you want. But again, thank you very kindly. Hopefully that's what you're looking for, Auction Monkey, on that. That would be my bet, to immediately call eBay quickly on that one, because that is what the issue was last time. I personally had that exact same issue. But they were telling everybody I sent those to that. It wasn't just in one state, because I had people checking on East and West Coast and in the middle of the country as well for me. So anyway, I don't again, like with the views, I don't trust that those are correct anymore. Yeah, I know I'm way off on my feed here. I have to admit, I'm very confused. Let me get down to some more questions and see. I think I got Jedi Order there. Questions: do you know if eBay ever awarded the 3 1-hour free consultations? I don't pay any attention to them anymore. I will never do an eBay open or anything. I'm not going to waste the time. I can read it all in 5 minutes and not waste it. I'm not a big person. I don't get the association on like an online live get together. It doesn't. I don't. That's not me, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what word I'm looking for to explain that. I don't get any connection with people from doing it like that way. So I did set up to go to the first one, and they screwed me on it. I signed up to go to the one they were having in Detroit. It was canceled over COVID when COVID first started, but you had to pay, I think it was $10 or something, and they were supposed to give you a gift card for that amount, and the gift card was for half the amount. It was $20, and my gift card was for $10, and they never would respond. So I got gypped out of $10 on that, and then I never did get a shirt that fit. And I mean, I got a goodie bag and all that junk, but I couldn't do anything with it. It was the wrong size. It wasn't even the size that I told them I wanted. So I said, I'm never going to mess with one of those. If they can't even get my $20 ticket price, figured out and compensate me as they said they would, I said, screw it. I'm not going to do it anymore. Yeah, refresh screen it. Yeah, thanks, Marty. Hey, Nick. How you doing, Nick? Yeah, hopefully that was helpful, Nick. If anybody who's talked to me on Patreon knows I don't just give you a one-liner. I try to give you what to do and why it's done that way. So I don't want to just tell you something. I was talking to my son. I picked him up today, so we didn't have to worry to go to a meeting or something today at his job. And he asked a ton of questions, and I always am like that. I mean, people got aggravated with me because I'd ask questions when I was training for jobs. But I was like, I don't want to just know that I got to do it that way. I'd like to know why it's done that way, or what's the benefit and stuff. I mean, I want to understand the whole process, and I guess that ticks off people. My son, luckily, they're great at where he's working. But anyway, flipping goodies. Don, thought you used Shopify. You can pull thousands of listings at a time, send them all back up. Personally, I only have. That's not Shopify. That doesn't work like you're thinking with Shopify. You have to have Shopify as your main base to do it that way, and then you have to have the eBay channel hooked up to them. And without that, and again, you're not listing them through eBay. You're listing them through Shopify. So if you have to close down Shopify, those listings can't be edited the same way on eBay. The only way to be safe and to have a backup would be to use a third party between them. So you'd do eBay, InkFrog, and then Shopify or something along that line. None of the off-platform setups that I've seen do what I need to do without using eBay's direct link, their API through Shopify. Using eBay's Shopify, it doesn't have all the features. And last I checked, it wouldn't even do offers to watchers. So I'm never going to do anything. Most of my sales come from offers to watchers. The sync is the biggest issue with us. And again, we're just switching. We're going to do Shopify, and we're going to sync it through Shopify as well, but we're going to use a SKU sync. Thanks again to $1 Million Peddlers, Papergoy, and Chuck, Dave and Chuck over there. Dave hooked me up with the name. Again, I still haven't even got to, so much stuff's going on, but I will plan on getting to that. But Dave, $1 Million Peddlers. Oh, wait, we got a little friend down here. Hang on. Where you at, Jack? Let's show you how big Jack's got for those who remember Jack. Let me see if I can get Jack into the window here. This is Jack. This is our rescue dog. Yes, Jack. This is our rescue dog. He's adorable. Okay. I got a video coming up one of these days. I keep saying that, just on Jack, but he was an abused dog, and you can see how loving he was. But when we first saw him, he wouldn't even get near us. He was afraid of everything. He didn't even know what a toy was. He was afraid of every toy we had and stuff. But he's just a loving dog. He actually slept in our bed last night, just FYI. Let me put the little guy down. Come on, Jack. Go see Mom. He's wandering around. That's Jack. He's been a lifesaver for the wife and I, because we were pretty much devastated from the loss of our other dog. And anyway, that's just me. I know maybe everybody isn't an animal lover like us, but he's a love of the family here for sure. I don't know. He's wandering around somewhere. Leland Langford, thank you two, Leland and Cindy. Again, there is a new video up already in there, and they're 30 minutes or so, I think, as most of my videos these days. Most of the videos, somebody asked me the other day on Patreon videos and my membership videos, they're both basically the same thing. Patreon's usually the better option because you get emails and you can directly email me and stuff like that, and I answer everything myself, but most of the content over there is longer, and way in depth, and I talk about things very specifically. I don't try to give out every detail on YouTube. I don't want to flood everything, and a lot of people aren't really as into it as those on Patreon. I live, eat, sleep, breathe reselling, in all honesty, and I'm dead serious. I ran into probably 4 different people that recognized me, which I was really surprised this past 2 or 3 weeks, and everybody, this is me wherever I go. I'm totally, I can't keep my mind off reselling. I'm at ADHD and everything. Sometimes it's annoying. I can't get reselling out of my head when I'm done for the day, and anyway, I'm rambling again. Thank you two as well. Don't have to do that, though, but I do honestly and sincerely appreciate it, Land and Cindy. Where do we go now? Let's see if I didn't get myself all lost here. Bottom line, eBay is not a community. It's a business. It's the sellers who create community like you are doing. Well, thank you very kindly, Tamara. Thank you very kindly. The old man's picks, welcome. We need some more viewers to smash. Yeah, I totally forget about that stuff. But if you're enjoying the conversation, I got 276 people in house. I got 109 likes. Please slam that thumbs up button there. Let's see where we at. Kathy Ergon. Hello from Apopka. I've got friends who live in Apopka still to this day. We lived in Winter Garden for a long time. Then we moved out to Claremont. I lived in Claremont for like 8 years or so. Mineola, same basic principle. Let's see here. Tone Morris. Thank you again for hosting. Always learn a thing or two. Well, thank you very kindly. Linda Schmidt. There's an excellent new shop on Mills in Virginia, Orlando now. Huh. I'll have to look that up, curiosity's sake. David Allen Coe. If you don't like the way I'm living, you just leave this long-haired country boy alone. I don't know that song, but I do know who David Allen Cole is, obviously. When is the next collab with Primetime? I'm not doing many more collabs at this point, right this moment. We got some nasty hate not too long ago from another channel making up BS, and ever since then I've always been a little cautious since that issue. I was in the right and I was doing the right thing and the whole works, and people accuse me of doing stuff, views, and just trying to make money and stuff. That's anybody who's watched my show for any length of time knows I'm not a money person. I have no courses. All I have is some video content where you can pay a whopping $9.99 to see a bunch. On Patreon there's like 500 videos for $9.99. You can watch them all in 1 month and be done and drop off and have the whole month's worth of videos to watch for $9.99. Patreon, the YouTube membership's the only thing I got, and we're going to work up. You'll see a bunch more videos, and eventually there'll be hundreds and hundreds of videos on YouTube membership. So the minute you sign up, you got a ton. They're all labeled by what the content is very specifically. I make money on the YouTube videos here, obviously. I don't make a fortune. I can't live off the YouTube videos. I make some money off Patreon, obviously, as well, too. If I put out my schedule, all the hours I work doing all the stuff I do, you might have a different opinion on this kind of thing. I put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it. I give away a lot of things that nobody else does because all they want you to do is to pay for it, and then they're not even great on that. I can't think of a video I've ever done. I know people accuse everybody of clickbait and stuff. I don't think I've ever done a video just to get views because it doesn't work that way. I got 2,000 videos. I darn well know how the videos work enough to say my type of content isn't some big flashy thing. I'm not telling you everybody they're going to make $1 million and you're going to find a $1,000 item every time you go out. And it's just this easy, which is what a lot of people do. I don't push things like List Perfectly because I don't use it. I'd never use it. It doesn't sync. People push stuff like that because there's YouTubers right now that I can tell you without a doubt make about $1,000 a month on commission by other people signing up for List Perfectly, even if they don't use it themselves. That's true. That's true. I swear to you, that's a true statement what I just did. And there's quite a few people who make it. So that's why other YouTubers push stuff, is because they want the revenue from commissions, affiliate link commissions. And I'm not like that. I'm very cautious on promoting or doing anything. And the long end of this here is that if somebody comes on my show and then they're attacked, I would completely feel responsible if it upset them or anything else like that. And I think I've just put everything on hold for a little while because I would personally feel pretty bad if somebody got attacked. I was attacked with death threats to our kids. Same time Ina, and might even have something to do with eBay. I don't know. But I know how I felt. And my wife hasn't been on the show since then, other than a pre-recorded video. So if you don't know that, my wife used to be on the show. But after being attacked and death threats against my kids over a video I did that Ina featured the first time out of nowhere. She didn't even contact me. She did it and showed my video and stuff, and I got attacked like massively. Nasty stuff. People mailed stuff to me, to my post office. I mean, a bunch of stuff happened. And so, my wife doesn't do it anymore because of that. I'm straightforward, and a lot of people have problems. I had a lot of hate from other channels when I first started, and people told me, stop giving away the information. I had people really nasty with me, other YouTubers. They were using fake accounts. I don't know who they were on all of them. I'm sure if I paid a little extra money, I got some friends who I'm sure could have tracked it down and figured out who they were, but I don't care. But they were telling me, you need to do a paid course. Do a paid course. Stop it. You're blowing it for the rest of us. I had all kinds of people. I mean, dozens of other YouTubers telling me that. I just ignored them all. And again, I take a lot of heat. A lot of people dog me. I don't really care. This is me. I'm done with it. There's another channel that everybody who knows me personally tells me that that's who I remind them, and that's Retro Blasting. I like the guy. I like Mike and his now wife. I've never talked to him really. I've emailed him once or twice, and I've sent him something before just because I really appreciate his toy content. He likes military stuff too, but Retro Blasting is one of the other ones that I've watched and stuff, and he gets the same kind of flack for speaking the truth. And I've realized now I know who's real and who's not, and there's far too many YouTubers that are not honest with most people, and it's all about the revenue. And to me, I love reselling. Why I get complaints every day. I don't read them anymore because my kids answer some of them still, but I get complaints all the time on my videos on here of shoot, my brain just went off shoot, where was I going with that? Totally lost my train of thought on that one. It's been a long day. But I constantly get complaints on stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling. I should just shut up now, I guess. Let's hop back over to here. Banjos. Causeway to Sanibel Island collapsed. Oh, wow. I know the causeway you're talking about. Tina Andre. Well, thank you very kindly as well. Thank you. Teddy Baker, welcome. The love is real. Well, thank you very kindly. Hey, Dave, Midwest Picker, another YouTuber in-house. Check out Dave, too. Dave's a real nice guy. I watched some of his. Teddy Baker, I'm from Bay St. Louis, small world. Yeah, my wife was born and raised there. Her parents still live there. We were down there 2 Christmases ago, for Christmas, actually. Her family owns, or what's the place called? It's on the coast. We got Alligator. We call it Soda Sopa. I know that might not be funny if you live there, but from South Park. But Trepanase is the one we get the po' boys from. I think that's what on heading towards the Kiln, if you know what I'm talking about, if you're from Bay St. Louis. It's that. They got real good po' boys there. We usually get soft shell crab po' boys from them when we went there last time. What's the place on the coast? It used to be a place called Big E's where we used to get crawfish on Bay St. Louis that ran the coastal, and there was a big antique mall. Her family friends owned the antique mall right there. She went to school with their kids, the 2 daughters. Oh, geez, I can't remember the name of the place. Her mom used to work at the nursing home in Pass Christian, and my wife went to the school right there off near Commerget, if you know where that's at. But I know I'm rambling again. We can't even get people to read the titles. I doubt they would watch a video. Yeah, that's probably true on some of them. Ivermectin, well, thank you. Hey, Craig, Landshark Picker in the house as well. Welcome, welcome. Another YouTuber in-house. Craig's another good guy. He's actually been in one of my videos. I don't rarely do many videos. I'm going to have the toy guy on. I've already talked to him, and I've already told him he would get to come on just for Christmas for content. But collabs, I'm kind of hesitant these days. Some of the collabs I've been offered to, I don't like the content that they do, or it's not my taste, or some of the people they associate with I would never associate with, and that kind of is a no-go for me. I turned down some people I would have loved to have done videos with them, but they had other people on that I'll never have anything to do with ever, because they're just not honest. They're just scammers, liars and scammers, basically. And there's quite a few on YouTube, unfortunately. But that's back to that just for a second. I get hate mail on why I don't put my store in there in my posts and stuff. I'm not trying to sell you my stuff, and that's where another thing comes from. I don't drop links to stuff I don't use. I almost never drop a link to anything trying to get a commission off it. I do have stuff that I personally use for my studio in my description box, but I haven't updated. I know a bunch of the links probably aren't even working at this point, because I don't worry about that. I don't promote, I don't advertise, I don't even put my video like the live show until the last minute. If I put it up the day before, I'd get rollouts and pushes from YouTube. I don't get them because it's my own fault, because I'm more into the reselling aspect of it. And that's what drives me. I'm more into the reselling. I'm looking at my numbers. My YouTube numbers don't sway my business like my reselling numbers. So reselling is my main business. I'm not a YouTuber per se. I'm a reseller who happens to do YouTube. Most of the other people are just YouTubers who just so happen to do eBay just so they can do YouTube. There's people who start a YouTube channel and they don't even know eBay. I'll start eBay and I'll do YouTube. Well, they're not really eBayers. They're not resellers. They're trying to do it to get the views on YouTube, and they just don't understand that it's not easy. Like Mike over at Retro Blasting, again, he's a real good guy. Everything he says is along the lines of what I feel with the toy industry, in all honesty. It's all them trying to get your money. It's all greed. And again, I like the guy. He gets attacked a lot, and he doesn't deserve it. But he's been on for 10 plus years, and he doesn't have 100,000 viewers. He should have more than that. Like, why don't you have 100,000 when all these people who've come on after me have bypassed me? I don't put out the flashy stuff. I'm not trying to get people to make $1 million, because I don't care about that. I don't care if I'm ever a millionaire. It doesn't matter. I want to be comfortable, and I want to feel secure, and I want my family to have what they need. And after that, I could care less. I'm not greedy. I don't wear anything fancy. I bought 3 of these Elvis shirts from Spencer's on sale for $12 a piece. So if that tells you what I like the shirt. I like Elvis. So I don't wear anything fancy. I don't go to a store and buy a $400 pair of shoes, or I just don't care. I just don't care. Let me pop on down here. pull. Now, I don't openly shout out my store name or anything else like that. Again, I'm not trying to get anybody to buy my stuff. My stuff is marketed to specific types of people who collect the vintage and collectibles. I post it, though. You can see my store name in a ton of videos. At least once a week, there's a video that shows it in it. So if you want to look, it's easily accessible. It shouldn't be too hard to find my store. I just don't post it because I'm not concerned about marketing or you buying my stuff. I'm concerned about showing people how they can feel as wonderful as I do and not have to go to a job. That's what drives me, because I wasted 20 years of my life working as a regional manager and a general manager and all that, and I have nothing really to show for 20 years working for somebody else. In the time I've worked for myself, though, my whole life has changed. And that's not hyperbole or anything else. That's the God's honest truth. If it wasn't for reselling, I would not be anywhere where I'm at. I would be miserable with the job I was working. It's improved every person that I love and care about's life, me being a reseller. And hand of God, swear on the Holy Bible, that's the truth on why I'm so into this. It has changed my life. And I'm not just saying that for views, as I could care less what somebody thinks. I know what it's done for us. You know, I know what I've had to deal with when we didn't have money and when I worked 90 hours a week for somebody else and wasn't compensated like I am now. So anyway. I don't do item specifics at all. I guess I should. Yes, if you don't do them, you're not going to be shown as much at all. I can tell you 100%. If I do get coupons, I miss them. If I get messages, they don't show that I have one anymore. Yeah, I've heard that too, honestly, John Scamardo. Fancy Pants. Good evening. Benny and the Jets. Nope, not Benny and the Jets, but overly complicated world. eBay needs to simplify things. Yes. They've made it longer to list than it was before, in my opinion. Other than, like I showed with, like, sell-similar. If you're selling like-to-like items in a row, it's pretty easy that way. But Facebook does it too. Messy advertising. Yeah, I don't like any of that. Crystal, Poindex. In some cases, item specifics are needed in some way. Yeah, with item specifics, what I use them for these days is I'll add my own, and it'll help. It'll just add another keyword. So what was the military detachment or marine detachment I put in the video from the other day, talking about how to list quicker and simplify your listings, talking about simplifying things. I stage everything. We never list anything without staging the items ahead of time. So I won't even scan, photo, or everything. For me, when I'm listing things too, when I'm giving you listing times, my listing times includes the time it takes me to do the title and type every single aspect of it, and as well as get the photos. So about 60 or so is about the max anybody can get if you're doing everything involved in the listing, getting up in an hour. 1 a minute is about the max someone can do for everything. Even those doing CSV files. Yeah, you might be able to upload it, but it takes time to fill it out, it takes time to get the photos, and you're not counting that time in. So, but a lot of people tell me they can do all these many listings, quite a few lately, and you're missing the whole aspect. Your time is not considered in there, and you're missing the photo time and typing and everything else. 20K, the old man's picks, 20K a year, and I haven't received that request. 6 digits is what if I said 5, I meant 6. So 100,000 or over, I think, is what their baseline. Again, everybody's going to have it, from what I understand. Yeah, Craig's exactly right. Item specifics, they weren't important when they first rolled them out in our categories because nobody was using them. But now they are. It's gotten to be a vital aspect to have in as many. Now, some of them don't make sense. Some of them are totally useless, but you work around that. Now, I would recommend doing most of your item specifics. Download the CSV file and then just edit them in Excel. End of story. To be the easiest way. You can cut and paste hundreds of them all at the same time. Do them category by category or group by group. Don't do too many at the same time. We found that about 100 at a time is about the best average to do when we're fixing and downloading and stuff like that. It's real easy too. You can do it from the hub, from the listings tab. Just FYI, it's up on the right. Nancy, hey Nancy, how you doing? Etsy asking now for the same documentation regarding sellers too. Yeah, I haven't got that from Etsy yet. Have not seen that from Etsy yet. If you don't fill out all the item specifics, does it matter? No, it doesn't matter all of them, but they recommend you filling out as many as you know. And again, I make up some. If they allow me to add a custom one and it'll help me, I didn't have room for marine detachment. So it was a perfect spot to put marine detachment in there. So it's just another option to add keywords to it. So if someone's narrowing it down and stuff like that, that can really help you. So, yeah, we're getting late. We'll go through a few more questions and then probably end it from there. Again, if you're enjoying the conversation, please slam the thumbs up button here. I'm trying to give you the best information I can. SodaStream canisters allowed on eBay. You would have to check that one. I know exactly what you're talking about, the compressed air canister for your home soda maker. It's a little, the wife actually wanted one of those, so I did look into that. It probably can only go ground. I know it's technically probably not going to be a flammable item, but I think anything compressed, any compressed gas or liquid, I think isn't technically allowed to go, that could explode. Maybe it wouldn't explode like in a flame, but it might shoot particles out that would damage something else that could explode, I think was the point on those. I try to never send anything else out like that unless it's going through a specific service that I know. I don't see why eBay would technically ban it, but I don't know for sure. That one would be something, if you can't find it out, I'd simply call eBay and hope that you were getting a correct answer. Justin Bershaw, I removed all my Hitler items. That might be wise, but it depends on what they are. Saw your World War II items to Facebook groups directly. Most of them I actually put online, and if they're U.S. military stuff, it's online. I've got thousands of military items up on eBay right now. You know, a lot of buttons and military badges and probably patches and stuff too, books and stuff. It depends on what it is. I would just be cautious with manuals, even on Facebook or anywhere like that. What I would do with manuals, if you don't know what to do with them, I would take them to your local live auctions and have them auction them off there for you. And then be done with it. They take the responsibility as the auctioneer. You wouldn't be responsible for it being auctioned then. If you do it on Facebook, it's under your name. Just keep that in mind. Some of those books, even if they're from the 50s and 40s, could still be banned books. And I say that because there's probably still some countries on the globe that may be using some of that World War II equipment. Keep that in mind. So maybe you think, well, it's so old, it's 70 years old, but there are still countries that are, you know, in some, you know, third world section that may be using 70-year-old equipment. And I wouldn't want to have any issues, just personal opinion. Black Americana we pulled last year, a year and 12 months, or a year and 2 months ago, when they were going around. We got dinged. Well, they didn't ding us. They said it wouldn't be held against us because I said, well, when has this changed? They have a category in collectibles for Black Americana, but it has to be very specific tied to it. I talked to eBay over this. I had some very long conversations there, and I even talked to a supervisor when that first happened. We removed 400 and some odd cards, trade cards that were even remotely that they could say and we were worried about, which they were all historical. It wasn't meant as anything in my aspect of listing them, but again, that's just how eBay is on stuff. HIP would allow me to sell them on most of the items, would sell fine on HIP too, though. Just keep that in mind. Model 101 Series 800. Yeah, you might just want to be a little cautious. I only say that because I personally know two different people. One had a African-American Cupid doll taken down and got dinged for it. And another one had a African-American doll, and they were trying to say that the doll was racially offensive. But I saw the doll, and it was a very realistic doll. I don't understand how they could even think that unless they say that the African-American appearance on that specific doll in general was wrong. But I don't want to get into that because I'm not trying to be controversial at all. But some of it, you know, I don't know. It's just the way they're doing things these days. I would never try to intentionally sell anything offensive, and I even try to go out of my way to make sure I search everything, terms and everything. So I don't want anybody to be offended at all. My wife is part Choctaw Native American, and I've heard all slang about her family too. So I'm very, very cautious on anything. Justin, I was warned before, but last month I was banned for 3 days. eBay removed all my listings and forbid me to list for 3 days. Wow. Native American items will be next. Some of them, you got to watch the terminology. I use the word Native American. I'm going to say the word just once. I would not use the word Indian on any of the titles at all anymore, ever. And it's not the appropriate word in that aspect either, only because, again, my wife is Native American, and I've been to Powhatan was the Choctaw chief that I knew when I worked in Mississippi, out near the Blue Moon Casino, I think is what the casino. But he worked at the water park. Tonka was one of the high chiefs of it, and he very nice guy. And I heard all the stories and stuff. But anyway, I'm rambling again. Yeah, Aunt Jemima was pulled. Yeah, that was one of those ones that was on the borderline too. Stardust Memories. Months ago, I bought a box of LPs, and in it were a few Beatles and Led Zeppelin bootlegs were in it. Is it illegal to resell those? Yes, technically it would be. Now, it depends on the specific bootleg. The company could Vero you, is the point. You know, depending on the time frame of the record, it could be a Capitol record, it could be a VJ record for the Beatles. VJ doesn't exist, but Capitol could still technically ding you on. I think Capitol would probably own the VG library, maybe. I don't know who owns VG's library, or VJ's library, but that would be an issue. Led Zeppelin Swan Song would be able to Vero you for selling an unauthorized version. They could do it on any of the sites, though. Just keep that in mind. So if you list it, let's say you're going to list it on Amazon as well, and you get dinged on Amazon just as easily. I talk about the Richard Pryor's estate. Big fan of Richard Pryor, always have been. And I was bothered. I got dinged on all the sites that I had that item listed on, which is 3 at the end of the day. 3 different sites. I got a Vero, basically, from each one. Amazon, it's a copyright infringement claim, but anyway, they gave me time because my standing on the account was perfect, but it was very annoying. It was bothersome because it was somebody I really like, and it wasn't him. He was already passed at that point, and I wasn't violating the rights because the copyright was held by CBS at the time. But you can't fight those things. It's always just best just to remove the item. I wouldn't mess with trying to list those. Now, you might be able to take them or list them locally. You know, I'd be hesitant to list them on, say, Facebook, because you could still get something there, or the company could complain or something. I know you'll see them on eBay, though. You might be able to get away with them, but I just don't do anything like that. If there's a risk chance, I avoid the risk at all costs. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it means I'm selling less items or something, or I'm not going to sell an item ever again. I try to remove the risk for everything, because this is how we pay our bills, and obviously if you're paying your bills from this, don't risk your stuff. Just don't do it. That's all I can say. It comes back to the honesty aspect. Be honest. Do the right thing, and you'll do far better, in my opinion. Being honest and truthful and treating your customers right you'll go so much farther in life being that way. Again, don't be greedy. I know I do long tail and stuff, but you know, I'm always fine with giving deals and all that kind of stuff out there too. I use prices that are the prices that they've been for years. The only bad part is too many people lowball their own items, and it draws down category after category sometimes when they're trying to race to the bottom. It kills it for the other folks who know what the value should be, and then you're coming in you're putting a $5 on a $100 item, and then anyway. I know I'm rambling again, but we'll get just to a few more. I know I'm going past the time. If you're enjoying the conversation, please slam the thumbs up again. I got 246 people in house, 167 thumbs up. Let's see here. Where are we going at? Yeah, Marty, Jiminy Flip It saying the same thing on bootlegs. So you can't put the word bootleg in the title. What most people I see trying to do a bootleg they put private press. And it's not a private press. It's literally a bootleg. Now, there are a few that used to be bootlegs that now are licensed copies. So it just depends if it's a bootleg prior to a licensed copy because they picked up some of these a bootleg is usually like a live performance most of the time that somebody bootlegged at the concert. They recorded it through the electrical system or even just sitting there. And that's usually what the bootlegs I've run into are. I've had tons of bootlegs. Another thing along that line is like the top 40 countdown. like Rick Dees or whoever does them these days. You can't sell any of those either. Those will get you a Vero. I've had them removed once or twice, so just to tell you, years ago, but I don't list those either. Those are all no-nos, to be honest with you. And again, Discogs you'll get a Vero to notice for either, or you won't be able to list it. Amazon, the same basic thing. It depends. Not like a Richard Pryor album that you might get a Vero on for using his name in it, even though it's a licensed product on Amazon only. eBay wouldn't do that, but Amazon would. Yeah, the African American Barbie dolls are a different story because Mattel has a deal with eBay. So just keep that in mind. They're not going to ban that specific doll, but if you're talking about the baby dolls, some of those I personally have emails from people that I personally know, and photos I've seen them that they've got dings for things that I wouldn't at all consider offensive, and I've got African American friends, and they're like, what the heck? It's a baby doll my kid might have played with, was the comment one of my friends said. So I thought that was kind of troublesome, that the person at eBay who personally views these is using their own opinions on what they think is or isn't offensive. Everybody has a different opinion on it, as we should be allowed to do, but it's not good when there's no way to standardize that opinion for an international company like eBay, or any international company. It's not just eBay. I just don't sell internationally at all. Sometimes a buyer will reach out and beg me, and I will, but that's only a handful of times. As long as it's safe and you're careful with what you ship and it's not breakable, I'm usually fine with shipping overseas. Yeah, Kelly, you're very correct on that aspect. It depends on what it is. Justin Bershaw. Well, that's a very good goal there. Everybody should set goals. 500 items a week is a good thing to set a goal at. 100% doable. I can honestly list 400 maybe in an 8 hours or so, 400 easier listings. I'm talking pieces of paper. That includes my scan time. Start to finish, I can do probably around 408 hours in one day if I'm lucky. And I can't be distracted. I've just got to be doing that. And I've done that before. If we wanted to do something, or we're going to go on vacation or whatever, usually we'll just crank out a whole bunch of listings a couple weeks ahead of time, build some sales. So if we have to get slower sales because we're on vacation mode, or maybe we shut it down for once in our life so our workers can go on, like Christmas. We shut it down 2 Christmases ago just so everybody would have off, so they could all spend time with their family. So under my ad, there's an ad for eBay. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what ads are on any of these because I've got YouTube Red. I don't see any ads anymore. I hate the ads on YouTube. I've had other people tell me that too. How they do that is just how you would do it on eBay. They're pushing their ads for my keyword. I've got eBay keywords in here. I use TubeBuddy so I can see what everybody else's keywords and all that stuff is for everybody else's videos, and I've just always used that. But I use eBay in my keywords, so they're tagging just like you would with promoted listings for item specifics. They are tagging them on video. So any video that uses eBay, they pay to advertise. So the ad revenue I may get from some of these videos is coming from eBay. That's my guess on it. I've had that before. That brought up actually before. But you are definitely right, Teresa Brewer. Yeah, I hate FedEx. I try not to order anything from FedEx. Even UPS is terrible around here. The post office is fine because my postal lady is just awesome. We're this year she's going to get $100 bill from us for just being great on her Christmas card. I think last year we gave her $75, but we're going to up it this year. Picky Rick, I can barely list 150 per month. If you're new, it just takes time to be able to list more items. I list items that are quick to list intentionally. I would rather be able to list, a bunch of items quickly, keep my per hour value up. We're hitting on the $500 per hour minimum these days now of items. So if I'm listing in an hour, I'm going to get at least $500 worth of merchandise up in that hour. We keep upping the bottom line, and it's working very well. We're switching over some of our inventory, but it's around 500 now. It used to be 400. Now it's 500. We've been lucky enough to raise it up. I go by how much value I can get up in an hour. If I'm listing $15 postcards, or even $10, I can get 40 easily up. 40 $10 postcards, more like 60. So it's still $500 at least in an hour, even for $10 items, because I can list them so quick. I got a video with no speed ups, no pauses, shot straight through, showing me for 20 minutes, showing you how many I can list up. And I got to just multiply the totals by 3, and you'll see that I'm listing about 60 items, close to it an hour in the paper items. And that's my scan time too. I can scan with the duplex scanner easily 100 items in just a minute or two. And it does both sides of the item. So if I slide a postcard into the duplex scanner, it's doing front and back at the exact same time. And if you set the DPI to 75, 100, they're flying in there so quick you have to set a stack on it. You can't even feed the machine quick enough. It goes that quick. So you could probably do over 100 if you're 75 DPI on a duplex scanner. Dependent on what you sell. Yeah, of course, that's always how it is. Yeah, now see, for us, the big issue, and a lot of people still get this, is that I'm selling stuff the whole time. So if I list 200 items in a day and I sell 100 of them, I only got 100 to the good up that day. So the next day I sell a bunch. I may lose that 100 because I didn't get enough up. So if you're selling 1,000 items a month or 1,500 items a month, you got to list 1,600 items just to gain 100 items. So that's the consideration a lot of people may miss or not be thinking about. Yeah, I'm getting 500 items up, but I'm selling 500 items, so I'm not gaining any ground. The only cure for that is to spend more time doing this if you're not gaining ground. We're a little down in listings. I'm down below 30,000 in the story share, which I don't like to be down anymore, but we're selling items. The sales are coming in, so I'm not able to quite keep up. I don't have as many workers these days with kids my son took that first solar job and stuff, so. Where are we at? I think my pages are up. No, here we are. Exactly. Never put bootleg in the title. Yeah, exactly what I said too. Let's see here. Yeah, let's just remove this guy from the channel. Yeah, we'll just hide him. We're not here for games. I'm not a gamey person. Well, I am, but not when we're talking about work. Videos about vintage pins, buttons. I originally found a Pinnacle Airlines pin and made a very good profit from it. Just resellers at the local thrift. See, if I go to a thrift store these days, somebody recognizes me, unfortunately. The last 4 times I went out, as I said, all 4 times somebody said, "Hey, aren't you?" And I'm like, no disrespect. I try to get in and out these days, not because of that, just because my time is very precious these days. And I love talking to people. Don't get me wrong, but it blows it if they talk in front of the people and they don't want to sell to me and they don't want to hold bulk and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I love pins and buttons though. That's one of my favorite. Buttons, I've got 450,000 vintage uniform buttons in-house. I think we got 6,000 or 7,000 up on eBay right now, and I probably have photos done of another 1,000 that we need to get up this week or next. Yeah, I think I'm rambling way too long today. Night, Jeff. Glad to see you on, though. Let's see here. What we got going on there? Well, thank you, Sam Dallas. I appreciate it, Don. But one time I saw you adjust your color on a postcard to make it look more rich in color. If I adjusted it to match the color of the card because the photo was light. We almost never do anything other than, if we're holding up the card or adjusting the color, we do it actually by holding the card up to the screen. It may be different on your PC or laptop too. There used to be a statement that said it may appear different on your screen for some of the items and coloring and stuff like that. But we match it to what our screen looks like. And I've never, ever, ever had, out of the tens and tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of items at this point we've sold, ever had somebody say that I misrepresented a piece of paper. I would never honestly attempt to do that. There's nothing wrong with adjusting, and we're not adjusting color, I would say, more so we're adjusting the brightness or darkness of it, because the only way you can't adjust color on eBay technically. At least I don't think you can. I never do it on eBay that I can think of. We adjust the brightness because sometimes the scan, when we were doing photos or something, it came out bad. Not knowing the specific you're talking about, I can't say other than that, but let's see, where are we at? My feed's all messed up. I can't tell where I'm at. Shambles 84, I got my first Vero today. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, most of the time I can get pins and buttons for almost nothing because no one else seems to want to grab them up. Yeah, we're getting late. I'm probably just going to let it go. Research and inspection takes a long time for me. It depends on what you're selling, of course. I've learned the categories I'm in, and I can keep finding that stuff constantly, so I don't need to look up most of it anymore, which is good. Like buttons, I almost never look up anything in button-wise ever anymore because I've seen so many. We've sold so many. We sell, geez, couple thousand. Last year alone, I sold almost $30,000 worth of shirt buttons. Just shirt buttons. Just shirt buttons, almost 30,000. So I've seen a god-awful amount of buttons. Just one of my kids, my oldest son listed more than 2,000. Well, he sold $2,000. Just one of my kids in 1 month. Because they get commissions off of it. That's why I bring that up. Well, you can do more than crop, too, but if you need to fix a skew issue, you can use the Windows actual photo editor. It works great for fixing skews if they're skewed sideways. The scanner, too, that we have, the DS510, will actually auto-fix the skews if you don't know that. Yeah, my feed's locked up again. Yeah, so my feed's locked up. I don't know where I'm at in the feed. So we're just going to let it go here. I went way over what I thought I would. I appreciate everybody coming on. Try to give you the best content I can. One last time, if you're enjoying the conversation, please hit the thumbs up. I got 217 people in the house, 177 thumbs up, which is good. I appreciate it. Thank you very kindly. One last time, too, if you haven't checked out the article I have linked on the very top here, that's a personal message that Ina posted on e-commerce Byte about the federal case. There's a RICO case against eBay right now, which I am 99.9% sure she should win. 7 of their employees are going to go, the way it sounds, to federal prison over attacking her and her husband David. So just FYI, please show her some love and some support on that feed. She's got a trying time that she's going to have to deal with, appearing in court seeing in court some of these idiots who did this to her, these awful people. So I'm sure it's a trying time, and anyway, I appreciate everybody coming on. Again, thumbs up if you are in my Patreon group. Videos up now. If you're on YouTube membership, videos up now as well. I will have more videos up before the end of the week for Patreon as well as YouTube membership. But we're going to let it go at that. Hope you all had a good evening, and take care.